Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. Hello, Maverick family. And new viewers from all over the globe. We have live streams tonight from Minnesota, where these protests, so described by some, or riots, so described by others, are getting out of hand, escalating. Violence and blood in the streets tonight. While at the same time, we have big wins in the courts, giving, I guess, support through the legal process to protesters, both in Canada and the United States. So we'll touch on that tonight as well. We have Trump and the Greenland situation also escalating. Complete lack of diplomacy on the U.S. side. Well, Denmark tries to navigate its way through these unprecedented political times. And we see NATO countries taking positions and actions to display, exhibit support for Greenland. Where's it all going? I don't know. Oh, also, I'll try to remember to update you on the big expose that Rudy Bruce provided last night on the Crazy Ostrich Farm. What did he reveal? What secrets are now public and yet still out there in a clandestine way? We'll tell you when we come back on the other side of this.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity, the Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn easy bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Custom shelves for your books or your tech. Cozy space for your treasures to protect. Built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn easy bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations. Proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea and exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
A big thank you to all you guys for your input yesterday as we tried to figure out what to do with the strange donations from the mystery donor who is no longer a mystery. the mystery donor to the ostrich farm, who has now become an unexpected supporter of the Maverick News Channel. Someone who claims to be in opposition to us and yet seems to be a friend of the channel. Still trying to decide what the right thing to do is. And I'll have more to say about that in the days ahead. And we'll comment shortly on Rudy Bruce's big broadcast last night where he exposed the farm. We'll talk about that briefly shortly. But before we get into that, I want to bring you this live feed from Minnesota. This is the Brandon Barlow feed. So we can tap into that and give you some up to the second coverage out of Minnesota, where these protests continue, anti-ICE protests that got way out of hand today.
Stay peaceful! Stay peaceful! Stay peaceful! Stop! Don't give him what he wants! Stay peaceful!
He's top right-hand corner earlier today. Well, we're going to talk today about the Artemis program. We're going back to the moon, folks. That's what they say. I don't know what the folks out there who believe the Apollo missions were all fake are going to say. People who say it's not possible to go to the moon when they do it this time. But we will get into that tonight, too. So, as of this hour, anti-ICE protests continue to grip Minneapolis, and protests have also flared up in several other major U.S. cities tonight, fueled by ongoing outrage over January 7th fatal shooting of Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother of three, shot by an Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer in the face. In Minneapolis, as you see, tensions remain high downtown near the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building and City Hall, rather. Hundreds of anti-ICE demonstrators outnumbered and police stopped a small group of, some people say, far-right activists, something pro-ICE or anti-immigration rally earlier today. There were couples there. Some reports of an object, snowballs, water balloons, major injuries were immediately people that we have one of the A protest organizers was injured, was stabbed. Federal agents clashed with protesters outside federal facilities today. They were using crowd control measures. Local police monitored from a distance. Recent federal judges ruling limit aging from arresting or using force with pepper spray against observers or protesters, not obstructing operations. Although enforcement remains contentious in terms of retaliation. That court ruling is viewed as a big win for protesters and freedom of expression, freedom of speech. And yesterday, and I did want to comment on this tonight. Yesterday, we found out that the court ruling on the Emergencies Act in Canada was upheld, saying the federal government in Canada did not have reasonable grounds to invoke it during the Freedom Convoy protest. Justin Trudeau, according to the courts, in the appeal from the federal government, erred, made a mistake, engaged in what some would say is government overreach. And then last night we had this broad discussion on a program that went on much longer last night than I thought it would, but it was a good discussion. We had views from various sides on all the issues that we touched on last night. including the Emergencies Act ruling. And I said yesterday, as I was trying to digest the ruling from Justice Mosley, what does it mean? And I said, I don't know if it means anything. That's in a way true, because I don't know that it really will open the door to any kind of successful litigation from protesters who had bank accounts frozen or were arrested. I'm not sure that any of those kinds of pushback measures would be successful in the end. It's the federal government. So you're dealing with, oh man, it's really unprecedented territory, because it is actually new legislation revised and rewritten from the original War Measures Act, which Justin Trudeau's father used during the FLQ crisis. And now Justin Trudeau is the prime minister who has used this Emergencies Act. It's really just the renamed War Measures Act. And I said when he invoked that, used it, that it was the federal government really declaring war on its own people, and that Canada died that day. And I still believe that is in broad terms accurate, because you've seen all of the trouble that has flowed from that. It was an error in judgment. It was a situation where we needed someone with real wisdom to know when to exercise restraint, and he didn't do that. Because even though during the Public Order Emergencies Commission inquiry into the use of the EA Act, that sort of like being an inquiry where the recommendations that came forward from Justice Rouleau, this is a separate matter, not the outright legal proceedings in court. This was an inquiry meant to review and come up with recommendations to more effectively use the Emergencies Act heading into the future. And Rouleau said that he thought that it was justified in his ruling, and he added, but you could easily come to a conclusion on the other side of the issue. So after thinking about it more overnight, I came to this. I don't know if it's a conclusion, but it is this open-ended analysis. That ruling yesterday is important because of the way our legal system works, which is a system that is foundational on precedent, legal precedent. So it was a huge win for, some would say, the freedom movement. I would say for Canadians. And it's a win for freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom in general, freedom of expression, freedom to protest. Because what the ruling said is that the emergency, if there was one, did not rise to the level of, and I guess there was sort of some emergency aspect to it, but it didn't rise to a national emergency. There may have been big issues right there in Ottawa and maybe in isolated centers where they had other protests, but it did not rise to the level of a national emergency. And the Emergencies Act is supposed to be used sort of as a measure of last resort, and it didn't rise to that standard. And so that was the first time the EA Act had ever been used. That legal ruling yesterday now sets a legal precedent that will make it much more difficult for the federal government to use that legislation again heading into the future. That's the importance of it. It raises the bar for that piece of legislation. It now says, no, here's an example. Here's a legal ruling on that, which will provide guidance for future governments if they ever need to look at using that EA Act again. It will inform in the future, saying, no, here's what happened in this case, and these matters could have been dealt with using local or regional police services or the RCMP without these additional legal tools, which reduce, eliminate, or diminish the rights of those protesters involved. That's why it's important. It's going to, that makes it more difficult for the government to do it to us again. More than that, it also says to me that the Canadian justice system actually can and does work. It just takes time because the wheels of justice turn slowly and people need to be patient. And while people can say that they want instant justice, the important thing is that you get it right. Because these decisions made today, the actions that you take out in the streets, or the actions you take online, or whatever actions you take to protest and hold government accountable for their actions, and the actions of government on the other side, responding to perceived threats or real threats or whatever kinds of threats they might believe are out there, their actions, all of those things, all of this will impact future generations, the rulings that we have. So it's important to get them right, and it takes time. And it did take time. It's taken years. But I've said all along that you have to have some faith in the system because it has served us reasonably well here in Canada for over a century and a half. And the system is based on legal precedents and philosophy and just history stretching back not just hundreds, but even thousands of years. And that's why it works, because there's so many lessons built into all of that. So you don't want to throw all that away. And the system is designed to self-correct. And so that is part of what is going on. We're seeing self-correction. We're seeing wins for the people. And yesterday we got one. Just a little one. It doesn't mean that everything the government did was wrong. It doesn't mean the entire government is being held accountable for everything that it did during the pandemic, which you may view as being government overreach or for any other actions. But for that particular, in this particular case, as it relates to, and it's very specifically focused on the use of the Emergencies Act. Was it justified or wasn't it? And the court ruled that it upheld a ruling that says it was unreasonable. Now that's going to the Supreme Court, very likely in an additional appeal. That could take years more to get there. So could go the other way. Or when it gets to the Supreme Court, it could reinforce this legal precedent further. And if it does go to the Supreme Court, that would actually work out in favor of people, if depending on how the ruling comes down. But what we've seen, I think, is a demonstration that while some people sit out there and just say over and over and over again that the system is corrupt, while there may be, grains of truth in that, maybe a lot of grains of truth, overall, it's hyperbole. It's just that people are impatient because we live in an instant gratification society, fast food, 10-second clips on the internet where people think they're being informed about history and politics and philosophy, and 5 and 10-second and 15-second, 30-second sound bites, video clips, reels, shorts. Those are the things that get the most traction. Those are the things that get the most clicks and attention. Long form video programs like this one are for people with longer attention spans, people who want to be, I think, better informed. And so they stick with it and they listen to get full context and really educate themselves better by getting more information, all information, hopefully on issues. And so that they fully understand things like the court ruling in Canada yesterday. Instead of just listening to people who sit there and say, aha, you see, Trudeau is corrupt. Well, it's more complicated than that. And to really understand what it really means, you need to look at the bigger picture It's a more complicated thing than he was right or he was wrong, because there are different layers that he had to peel back. The government had to peel back and look through that legislation and see what the benchmarks were, like what thresholds had to be met in order to use that act. And as Justice Rouleau pointed out, whether you like him or not, he's correct when he said that you could look at it either way. But in the end, the ruling yesterday was unanimous in court. And Mosley's ruling was upheld. And that's a win. Because, in my view, it was overreach, even though I've sat here, and let's be honest, and I'm going to be honest, because I've been honest as I have uncovered the information, regardless of what was said on the program last night, for you regulars in our Maverick family, we all know that many things can be true at the same time. And so, yeah, the vast majority of people who were there were peaceful. Were there because they just wanted to fight for freedom. They were tired of lockdowns, mandates. But there were also people there who did represent a threat to the country on some level, because they had bad intentions. They weren't there acting in good faith, and they were deceiving us, lying to us, exploiting that protest as they continue to exploit and have continued to exploit protests since then for political purposes, which they do not fully disclose because they wear masks, even if metaphorical. I wonder if those agitators had not been at the center of the protest, the Freedom Convoy protest, of those people, those bad actors had not been there. I wonder, would the outcome have been different? I wonder, would we ever have been locked down to begin with? Would the people have been beaten in the streets, used, as we illustrated here on this program, for a photo op? A photo op that has been used for political purposes, aimed at destroying the country. Our family, those of you who watch this program and others, long-form content, to get full context and really peel back the layers and get to the truth of the matter, like real truth, not BS truth like is out there. Just real world, touch a tree, grounded truth. You know. A lot of people know. Just about everybody really knows deep down, I think. Even if you're not informed, I think you can feel it. The lies. In this age of conspiracy. We'll come back on the other side and show you more of what's going on out there, the impact of government policies that are taking us down some very dark roads.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, let's go to this Freed from Madden Morris, also live out of Minneapolis. Let's get some audio.
To say the word flag, and I almost dropped out one of those letters. That was a close one. Anyway, back to the super chat. My bad. That big pirate flag is to represent the fraudsters. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think so. Yeah, that must be what it's about. Dorvis with the big $20 super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Jason Mary says, I doubt any of these people are veterans. I don't know. Could be a couple of them. I don't know. Who knows? Could be a couple. Probably not a whole lot, though.
Don't ask for people to work with you if you're not going to work with us.
No more footage from my business. Guys suck. Fuck you.
Yeah, you're kind of sending a lot of pollution into
You,
the air.
I don't watch this guy. I don't really know what his political slant is, but I think we're about to find out. I have a guess.
See if these people start going crazy on here. This streamer's name is Waxiest on
Damn,
Kick
bro,
up there
this
in the top
dude,
left.
Matt Morris, bro. There's so many new fucking followers coming in here. Holy shit.
Feels just like the Freedom Convoy coverage that we had,
Got
right?
some flashbangs and tear gas going off for you guys. Damn, there's a canine in here.
Oh, puppy.
Make sure you get badge numbers. That's what we're looking for. Names and badge numbers. You know what the Nuremberg
Sounds just like the Freedom Convoy, too. You know what the Nuremberg trials were about?
Oh. Somebody going home.
Same stuff, different protest.
That had to be the weakest chant I've heard in my life. So, by the way, Curtis, this streamer we're watching right now, he's undercover. He is a Trumper, but he is undercover amongst the leftists, okay? Just to put this into context here. He's our undercover
what is the
agent.
sidewalk protecting me from? Your parked car? You got what I'm saying? Like, get on the sidewalk before our parked cars hit you. I think I can dodge it safely.
Lots of that goes on out there, too, you know. You can't
Thank
tell
you, Curtis.
who's
Thank
who
you,
in
though,
the zoo.
Curtis.
And people from one side of the political spectrum, they get in and they get in on the other side, and then
it's
they
gonna be
blend, and
crazy
you
when the
can't
National
tell
Guard
who's
comes
sincere and
out.
who isn't, and it turns into chaos. This is going on here, too. That's why, I think,
they could see our signs. But until you move, they cannot see our signs.
just as a side note, I think our mystery donor, who's now public and has been coming on this program, there's every indication that he's not really a conservative.
This woman is melting down that
And I think he
ICE
might
can't
actually,
see
in a
their
way, be on
stupid
our
signs
side.
because the vehicles are parked in front.
David A.
That is
And-
why she's mad.
I'm showing you this document with something else. Boy, that'll confuse people who don't know the hell. I'm
Hurricane, they
talking
were shooting the pepper bullets.
You
They were shooting them earlier. Oh, thanks, Stacia. Thank you. Thanks for the power chat. Dude, they were shooting the pepper bullets earlier right by me, man. I inhaled some of it. Got in my lungs.
Okay, let's stop that for a moment. Stop that audio so I can think. I still don't really know what our donors' game is. I'm not going to comment on it much tonight at all. But I just want to say this. He's got progressive and the word progressive in his email address. That's not his whole email address. But he's got the word progressive in it. We know that he was involved in politics and political activism at the University of Victoria. And that was all left-wing stuff because his friend came on last night and was telling me about that, telling you. And I've talked to other people who also say he was on the left. He seems like he's on the left in many respects, but then he's very religious. So he's got this Christian thing going on. And so I see that element of it too. And you know what the thing is about him? Like a bunch of people out there these days, they're hard to peg because of course nobody is black and white. People are individuals, right? So he's a communo-fascist. That's what he is. He thinks he's a conservative now, but he's actually a blend of both because he's still deep down inside. And I think he's like in the closet. You in the closet, David? Yeah. Because he still has these left-wing progressive viewpoints that he holds. But on the Christian side, he's culturally very conservative. And he's acting out. It's like monkey see, monkey do, and there's permission now to act like a dick because of what Trump has done and giving people the finger and, you know, the Tate brothers and all of this crap out there where you have to be an alpha male and you know, it's cool to flaunt your money and all of that stuff. And so I think he's a little bit confused and yet not, because he's very smart. And because I see this stuff, like Matt Morris right there saying that guy's actually a Trumper, but he's in there with the left-wing protesters. What's going on here too, man? I know that some people who come and pretend to be on the right or in the freedom movement, they're not. They're from the left, but they claim to not be. And that's why I can't really tell who's really attacking this channel. I don't know if it's freedom people or left-wing people, and it actually ends up being both. And so ultimately it doesn't matter. Either you're friendly or you're not in the end. And that's why I have so many frenemies, because some people pretend to be my friend and they're not. Friend of the channel, but they're not. I also know that these protests and, I'll backtrack. Venezuela, a lot of protests planned and happening. So somebody, I'm not going to say their name because they've been throughout this saying they're part of the freedom movement, and they were certainly part of the convoy, and they went to the convoy, and then they sent me a poster for a big Venezuela rally protest, January 17th. But it's show you. The thing is, though, it's like right here. Okay, I'll show you. This is why the whole MAGA movement is so dysfunctional and falling apart, cracking at the seams. Why the freedom movement is so dysfunctional as a whole, too. Because it's a populist movement. And the Freedom Convoy was a moment that brought everyone together, or people from various political stripes, and put them together, fused them together. You want unity. Well, it was that issue that unified for a moment, bringing people together. And at the core of it, you had people who had actually been politically active with these other motives for years prior. And that's why there's so much dispute about who started what and everything else. Point is, so you've got, look at this here, January 17th, Global Day of Action. This is organized by the Marxist-Leninist Party of Canada. So this is definitely on the left. And the person sending me this, who I'm sure will be there, has been part of the freedom movement, which is supposed to be some sort of conservative movement. And I've been saying for a long time that what's going on right now is a convergence of the left and the right into a communo-fascistic political movement, which translates into populism, MAGA. I would say even the PPC, People's Party of Canada, which enjoyed a peak of popularity during the lockdowns and during that election at the height of the pandemic. That was their chance to get a foothold into Parliament, and even then it still didn't happen. But this is why everything is so dysfunctional, And there's so much infighting because it's very difficult to hold a populist movement together that has an umbrella so wide that you're pulling people with polar opposite views on many key issues. So they fight. And the Venezuela issue, just one example. The Palestine-Israel issue, that's another one that's very polarizing, divides the movements. And that court ruling yesterday also proves this, because I've been seeing people online talking about the EA Act court ruling in Canada, making reference to that moment. The influencers that I've been watching have been saying, yes, you see, that was the time when we were all together. We have to come together again and unify and fight again. But it's not going to happen. Not in that way. Unless you have another major issue that affects people in a broad manner, in a way that brings tons of people back together, like the pandemic and the lockdowns. Otherwise, all these other issues, they're fragmenting people. Nobody agrees. It's like you can't get 100% agreement on a political issue. So you're always getting division. PPC, Freedom Movement, MAGA, all this right-wing stuff, it's here for now. It's here for the moment. But it's starting to fly apart already. And that's one of the reasons why the Trump administration or regime, depending on how you look at it, they're racing to exert as much political control as they can right now, because the only way you can maintain control when you don't even have the ability to keep your galvanized foundation of support together is through authoritarianism, through authoritarian means. That's why you're seeing this out in the streets right now. And I said the shooting of Renee Good, the real responsibility for that, in my view, like, it's not, you can blame the cop or you can blame Renee Good, however you want to view it, because people are just picking a side and a tribe. They're not looking at it really through the lens of impartiality and what does the law say. They're like basing their judgment on whether they agree or disagree with what their position is politically on the protest out there. That's terrible. You don't get to justice that way when you have a specific incident. Just goes around and around in circles. People, again, this last night, I shouldn't let this slide. You know, one of our guests, and I asked several of them actually, but like, you're upset because the Canadian government sent the cops out to beat protesters at the Freedom Convoy. That's not justified. That's unreasonable. And yet, in the next breath, what did we hear on this very broadcast? It was like, they're out in the streets in the United States. They've shot now 11 people, 11, with live bullets, wounding them, killing one person, shooting her in the face, not once, 3 times. She was shot. Did anybody in Canada at the Freedom Convoy, at any protests in Canada, anybody get shot, killed with a bullet from a cop? 11 people have been shot in the United States. One woman shot in the face 3 times. And I see people just picking a side because they're on this team or that team. Same people who are like cheering because of yesterday's ruling in Canadian court. Do you stand for freedom or not? Do you stand for freedom just because it's your freedom, or your perception of, like, you think you're free because you're getting what you want? But you don't stand for freedom if it's for somebody else that you don't like because you don't like their political views or you don't like the way they look. You don't like the color of their skin or their religion. You don't like what they're protesting for. So it's okay to shoot them in the street. Justify that in any way. I'll tell you, that's a hell of a step beyond and far removed from community policing, which is what I think we really need to get back to. Double standards. You accuse cops of employing double standards, making special rules for this group or for that group. But what am I hearing from freedom fighters, conservatives, so pseudo conservatives, not conservatives, just people who call themselves conservatives but don't really even know what it means. They're not conservatives. They're extremists because they don't believe in freedom at all. As far as I'm concerned, if you believe in authoritarianism, totalitarianism, that's pretty freaking extreme. You're going to justify having civilians the point shot with live ammunition in the streets. We've been talking about a possible civil war. What do you think you're seeing in the streets right now? This is like beyond a protest. Okay. This is people so severely divided, and there's so much power in the hands of the federal agents who are out in the streets that they are shooting people, and it's been normalized. And I warned people about this. I said, this is coming. What's it going to look like? I said, if Donald Trump gets elected and they actually do start to deport people, it's going to look terrible. The optics are going to be awful. If there's going to be pushback, you're going to have blood in the streets. What do we have? Blood in the streets. Why is that? Because you got thugs out there working for the government. Not okay at this protest, but it's okay at that one. Only even worse at this one, but it's still okay. I don't know how you get there. Either you believe in freedom and freedom of speech and freedom of freedom of assembly, freedom of association. You believe in freedom or you don't. And if you believe in freedom, it can't just be freedom for you, but not for thee. It doesn't matter what they're protesting. The point is they have a right to protest without being shot. Let's join the U.S. We're going to be the 51st. I don't want to be the 51st state if it means that I'm living in a country that's okay with pseudo cops, paramilitary forces out in the streets shooting civilians. You know, I'm getting way off track here, but my God. My God. Yeah, but I don't like those gay people. Deport them all. That's not going to solve your problems. Those folks just came here because they're looking for a better life and because this country, Canada, United States, they represent freedom. This shining silver city on a hill. Hope. Everybody wants to come here. If you open the door and they come in and your government makes a promise to them and they're here, they get in. Texas. Move to Texas. That whole bloody state relies on immigration. If it wasn't for immigrants, the state would fold up and die. It was created out of immigration. If you know your history, Mexico invited like Texians. If I remember my history, it's like they invited people to move into the area. Americans or Texians, and then they began to populate so much that they began to outnumber the people who were there, and they didn't want to live under the the laws and the culture of Mexico. because they were now becoming the majority. And so there was a frickin' war because they wanted their independence. Sound familiar? But they were immigrants. And then they just took over. And then they ended up joining the United States. And even today, like, the state couldn't function if it wasn't for the immigrants. That's the truth, man. Population is declining in Texas because birth rates are down to 1.6 per couple. It's not at replacement level. It's like that everywhere. Birth control pills. That's why. And changing societal standards and culture. Everything changed with the pill. So people have fewer kids. They have wealthier lives because they don't have kids. They live longer. They don't need as many kids. And the kids they have, not so likely to die, so they don't have as many. I mean, just all these factors, and people don't understand because they just listen to the BS. They don't look at things, from an impartial view. Why do you think they want people to move to Texas? Why do they want you to move to Texas? Because they want you. They want your skills. Without you, they ain't got no state, right? They have no growth. It's a state in decline, just like the United States itself. But Texas, I can tell you because I've been down there, they have a lot of racism, like a shitload. It's pretty freaking disgusting, actually. Not everybody's like that, but there's some, real rednecks that I have encountered down there. It's pretty gross. Tell you a story, since we're completely off track. When I was working at the television station down there, doing that healthcare series, I was becoming real good friends, actually. We were very friendly, all the people at the station. And there was one camera guy that I was working with. He was shooting video for me, and I was the reporter. And we'd been out, probably on 4 or 5 shoots together. And then he said, I hate to use the phrase, being a naive Canadian at the time, like, I'd never heard it before. And he said, "You want to go see, forgive me if I'm offending anybody, okay?" But he said, "Do you want to go see the porch monkeys?" And I was like, what are you talking about? He was testing me. And I was like, I don't know. What's that? Because I was, this was years ago. It was a lot more. I was not as worldly. Young guy from Ontario. Want to go see the porch monkeys? So several days of this, he said, I'll take you later this week. And he kept asking me. I'm like, whatever, man. Like, whatever. I don't know what it is. Like, what is it? Like a sea monkey? Like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Sea monkeys are brine shrimp, by the way. That son of a bitch. Town I was working in down there, it was affluent, like in a lot of these areas, because a lot of people have money. And all he had to do was take a sharp turn, go down a side street, and just absolute shithole. Poverty. From clean and prosperous, affluent, 1 block over. Shithole. Run down. Houses probably should have been condemned. He takes a drive down this street, and there are black people on their porch. I had to work with this guy for the rest of my stay there. but I told him I didn't think it was funny at all. I learned a lesson. More than one thing can be true at the same time.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
There it is in the streets. Trump's America in 2026. Yeah. You know the difference between, I've said this, talked about it over the last few nights. The difference between Canada and the United States is in the US, people talk about the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And here it's peace, order, and good government. Peace, order, and good government. This isn't order. And then beyond that, I've been talking about people being Canadian loyalists, which is not to say, and it's okay to be loyal to the crown, because what people don't understand, especially these sovereign citizens who say Canada doesn't exist as a country, it's not a real country, they're so full of shit. And you've got a king, so you don't have any freedom. Horse hockey. The crown is not the king. The crown is the people, folks. The king is just representative of that. Don't you get it? The king doesn't pass the laws. Well, he signs them into law, but he doesn't come up with them. That happens in Parliament with the politicians who have to get elected and have to convince you that those are good things. The crown is not the king. The crown is the people. It's the country. These other people are lying to you because I think they don't understand, or if they do, they're part of an overall movement to destroy everything. And it is much easier to destroy things than it is to build. You should start asking these people who want to rip the shit out of everything and tear it all down, what do we get on the other side? I keep telling people that, like, what do they want? What are they going to bring you? Before you destroy everything, better find out where you're going. What are they going to give you in place of what they destroy? You don't know. You just get pissed off. You just listen to all this anti-government bullshit. Speaking of which, Rudy Bruce, freedom fighter, hard drinking, hard smoking on the program. He's been on here a bunch of times. And he's old. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Last night, A lot of people left here to go over and watch Rudy, who I've come to kind of like. I've taken a shine to him. Maybe an error in judgment on my part, but I think he's a misfit. Strangely, I think there's almost a place for him here. I think there is, if he wants it. His salvation is here. He just doesn't know it. Because here we pursue real truth, right? Not the kind of truth that he is pursuing, which he knows is not truth. He's engaging in a pack of lies because he's myopic in his views and analysis. He just, government sucks, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It's all the government's fault. Last night, he was exposing the ostrich farm, and it was a big buildup. So I'll tell you what he exposed after the big buildup to get as many people watching as possible. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. As I expected. He had nothing. No new information at all. It was just another hard drinking, hard smoking bitch fest. Because it's all a show over there, man. And he's over there because he thinks he's got community and some sort of a strange family, even as he pretends to fight with the farm. He's not fighting with that farm. Because like that guy who was the Trump supporter hanging out with the protesters, he's, the anti-ICE protesters, and the Trumper is pro-ICE. Rudy, they've created this new fight in fighting. And I'm not exactly sure why yet, but, well, it's to continue to focus attention on all this shit going on out there. Excuse my language. It's a fake fight. More or less. So much going on. But you can't tell what's really going on because it's all fake. And so there was nothing new revealed. It was just a Geraldo Rivera, Al Capone's vault moment on a teeny tiny scale where he was just trying to get clicks and people to view so that he could rip the shit out of the government some more. That's all it was. Useless waste of my freaking time to even go over and check on it. But I knew, but I had to because I have to serve you. So I had to subject myself to it, but I knew there would be no value in it. I don't watch that stuff. I don't have time. There's too much of this going on, and I need to educate myself and bring myself up to date every day with what is really going on in the world and trying to figure out what is leading to all of this so that it stops happening here in my community, in my country, in my society, my world, so that I can hopefully prevent my country from breaking up and maybe a civil war here. So we don't have blood in the streets and maybe death. I don't want it. That's the truth. Some people do. They want it so bad they can freaking taste it. Gross. Terrible. This Jake Lang guy, J6 protester, I guess, organized an anti-Islam protest today. Things didn't go so well for him. I don't know if you saw the footage. He got pulled into a crowd. My computer's pretty laggy here tonight, so let me See if we can get it cranked up. Well, here's one clip of it. Okay. Yeah, this is him getting dragged into the crowd. So let me show you this. So if you are planning a protest, I'd say be careful out there. Here it is. Here's Jake Lang. So he'd be on the, what some people would say would be the right, and then the left-wing protesters grab him and swarm him. Why? Both are lagging. Everybody's a Nazi or a communist. Way too much freezing on that. So I do apologize. Trump's America. Nice. I wonder what was solved there. Let's go back to the live feeds. This guy up.
Law enforcement officers with total impunity. These people, really, it's terrible. It's asinine. It's mental illness. Thank you very much. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you very much. This is it's 2 degrees out there. Look at that. Cy Tiger says, bring in the puppy. This is Tiger Clan 472. You want me to bring in my puppy? Hold up, what is that? Maybe I could bring the dog in here. I could at some point tonight. I could. I'll think about it. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'm talking about the hater genetic. Whatever that hater genetic, that's inhumanity needs to die off.
Gordon on Rumble, he says, actual Gestapo would be firing live rounds on protesters indiscriminately and dragging Antifa members out of their homes.
Or it's going to smack you in your face and you won't be able to handle it.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, well, wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, you're probably right. You guys want to see the puppy? Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on here.
Whatever. Whatever. Yeah, Jake Lang. He was pardoned for his participation in the January 6th U.S. Capitol incident and is well known for his provocative anti-Islam rhetoric. Not to say there might not be some issues with some fraud and abuse of government funds. Can't say. Don't know enough about it. I don't live there. And I haven't paid enough attention to it, but I know it's a big issue. Nevertheless, people are people are people are people. Individuals. Which brings me back to Nash the Slash. Canadian innovative musician. I came across this. See if I still have it up. I hope I do. Maybe I'll stumble on it again through the night. I've got so many tabs open. I'll come back to them. Are you familiar with the... oh, here it is right here. Yeah, we were talking about Nash the Slash, right? I'm going to share this with you because I talk about individualism all the time and how important it is, judge each person based on the person, not on, don't judge a whole group and condemn because they appear to be part of a group. So here's what I found. Nash the Slash, the guy who wrapped himself in surgical bandages like the Invisible Man and would perform on stage playing the electric violin and a number of other instruments. Really talented guy, very innovative, experimental musician. And I came across this.
Trying to be themselves. Nash the Slash. In a world of people trying to be themselves, Nash the Slash stood out by being unapologetically himself. Bandaged face, top hat, and a genre-blending sound that defied convention. This episode celebrates his fearless creativity and lasting legacy, showing how authentic self-expression inspires others and breaks molds. Whether you're an artist or just seeking your own voice, Nash's story proves the power of embracing individuality in a world of people.
That's right. That's exactly right. Never got signed by a major label, but still had a good career. Canadian. I think he made 1 or 2 trips down into the U.S., but he was maybe 1. I don't know. I got to see him. He was truly an artist. Didn't quite starve. Close to it. Anyway, just share that with you because we were talking about Nash the Slash last night and had for a couple of nights. And that's the way she goes. So, individualism, man. It's the answer to so much. Let's go back to the live feed. What's going on here? This makes me think so much of providing the live streams during the
I can't answer all questions.
So, I'm a retired law enforcement officer myself. For many years.
For where?
In St. Paul.
St. Paul, okay.
So,
right across the road.
Yes. So what brought me really out here was because of the injustices to our constitutional rights. Because I took an oath to the Constitution like you. And police have been doing a better job about it than,
How long did you serve?
Over 7 years.
Okay.
So, anyways, the thing is that my question is basically, how do you feel? I know you might not want to go on record.
No, I'm not.
If you were off the clock, you might talk to me, but because my copper friends will.
Listen.
I'm not trying to jam you up or anything.
I'm here.
Yeah.
To keep the peace like anybody else.
Right. I follow that.
That's it.
No, Metatron. That's actually my cash
I
app.
know you're
That
doing
is
your
my
thing.
cash app.
For me, okay. So I'll express my feelings. Is that I see a lot of injustices with what ICE can and can't do. They cannot just go ahead and stop these cases without reasonable cause or probable cause, or reasonable suspicion or probable cause. That's what officers do. That's what we do. That's what you do. That's what I did. So I had to have reasonable suspicion or probable cause or incitement. Or else it becomes a food poisoning tree. So right now they're doing a lot of things that are illegal. Obviously.
So is that a statement that you just wanted to make a statement? Or?
Well, I was trying to see if I could get some from you, but
I realize that.
You're just going to be up against a wall because obviously you're working. I get that.
What does this guy even want to know?
I have this on my face.
What is your question here?
I wore this too when I was on the street side protest.
Jason just gifted 100 kicks.
I did the same thing.
Canada's Forex just gifted 100 kicks.
They were doing it a little bit differently. They're masked up all the time. When it was not as cold as
I don't mind showing my face. Because it's just cold.
Okay,
So,
I appreciate you.
all right?
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
It's just cold. So, yeah.
Dude, I'm
cool.
official now, man. I need to get myself a press vest.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I need to do some super chats. I'm being the worst live broadcaster.
See, this thing about Canada too. I'm just listening to still on my headphones that broadcast, and they're talking about Nazis again. You look at Canada. Through all of this, there, then I hear some people saying, "Oh, Canada is a Nazi nation." Then you go over and you look at the live streamers who want people to move to Texas and many, many others. Oh no, it's a communist country. We have everything here, man. Like it's the everything country. And it's almost free. Not quite. Working on it. Working on it. As the president sets his sights on Greenland. And he now is going to impose tariffs on countries, allies, for crying out loud, who, well, here, take a look at this headline. I've got it here. I'll find it. There it goes. Trump says he'll hit Denmark and 7 other countries with new tariffs until there's a deal to buy Greenland, or they'll do it the hard way. Oh my God. And so we get this today. Here, put some audio up. NBC. Thousands of people took to the streets of Greenland's capital city to protest new efforts to purchase Greenland. Donald Trump announced that a new 10% tariff on 8 European countries would be imposed until a deal for Greenland was made.
Donald Trump, go home. And we don't need Donald Trump here in Greenland. This is my country, not USA.
I don't want to be American. Why should we? For what? For what good? No good.
I don't want to be American, no matter what. I want to be Greenlandic, no matter what.
Greenland is for the Greenlanders, and when they decide to become independent, that's their business. And no other country should come here and take over.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But some people think it might makes right. Dumb people like Stephen Miller. Penis head. I mean, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I couldn't help myself. It's been top of mind for so long. I just slipped out. Well, I've got a story about him related to this, okay? Well, this guy's so dumb. But I like Stephen Miller because, I don't know, why would you? What is it about a guy? What? You know, I didn't know who Stephen Miller. I didn't know anything about him. Now, the first time I remember seeing him, he was at a news conference and he was snapping back at reporters. This was a long time ago. And he's pretty sharp. And he's very quick-witted. Wow. Like, that guy's got a rapier wit. And he is just like, sniper attack. Say something to him and he's got something to come right back at you with. So he's sharp, but not wise and pretty bigoted, honestly. Just they got TDS, Rick. No, I don't. The guy's a dick. He's penis head. He is. He's just penis head. And he's kind of dumb, even though he's smart. Here, look. What's the headline on that? Oh, yeah. Miller amid Greenland push. What is he? The assistant. What's his freaking title? I'll scroll down and find it as soon as my computer catches up. Yeah, Deputy Chief of Staff. Right. So this was from yesterday. Doubled down on the Trump administration's argument that acquiring Greenland is essential for U.S. national security. What? You know what the argument is? Well, we have to get it because if we don't take over Greenland, Trump says Russia or China will take it over. I haven't heard Russia or China threatening to take over Greenland, only the United States. And then the second layer of the argument is they can't defend it. Denmark can't defend Greenland. They've done a terrible job defending it, and it's in the U.S. and the national security interests of the United States to just take over Greenland, take control of it. Dumb. Doesn't make sense. Well, yes, it does. No, it doesn't make any bloody sense. NATO protects Greenland. Well, they have to stop subsidizing it. Oh, so it's just about the money, is it? Oh, okay. Well, it's going to cost you money if you take it over. Yeah, but then oh, shut up. Like, that's not what this is. Like, United States already has military bases there. If you want to protect Greenland or just even protect the area, because you're afraid of a threat of some kind from China or Russia, then just ask if you can put more troops there or put more defenses there. And if you're just an ally, if you're part of, you know what they would say? They'd say, okay, no problem. But he has to take over the country. No, it doesn't make any sense. It's not necessary. They're friendly. They're our friend, like they're friends. Okay, Donald? But no, he has to take over the country. That's not justification for anything. I don't care about the Dunroe Doctrine, right? I don't care. How about that? I don't care. Because you shouldn't have any say in the country. You sure as hell should not be presenting yourself as an existential threat to Greenland. And Stephen Miller says here, the new domain of international competition is going to be polar competition, Miller told Fox News' Sean Hannity, seeking to justify President Trump's proposal to take over the Arctic island. This is in the Hill, a semi-autonomous Danish territory. Quote, this is where more and more resources are being spent by our nation's adversaries and rivals is the ability to control movement, navigation, lanes of travel in the polar and Arctic region. He added that because Denmark, quote, cannot defend Greenland, citing weaknesses in their military and economy, that it should not have claims to the land. To control a territory, you have to be able to defend a territory. Improve a territory, inhabit a territory, Miller said. Quote, Denmark has failed at every single one of these tests. Well, hell, Stephen, why don't you just go take over every goddamn place that doesn't have nukes? The president's political advisor claimed the U.S. was already on the hook to spend hundreds of billions of dollars to defend Denmark as a NATO ally. Well, you're the head of NATO, dude. The reason other countries don't have nukes is because we all agreed that we wouldn't have nukes proliferating. And so the United States was allowed, in a way, to take the lead. And that's why you became the world's policeman. You're supposed to protect people, to serve and protect. And then you ended up with the world's largest economy as a result of all that. And you've squandered a lot of that. And you're squandering goodwill, relationships, of greed, and a thirst for power. He went on and said it's a raw deal. It's an unfair deal. And most importantly, it's unfair to the American taxpayer who has subsidized all of Europe's defense for generations now. He told Hannity, whatever, man. You've got military bases all over the goddamn place. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But you're actually making it a bad thing. And the reason it's really, really bad is because you and the Trump, regime might be an accurate description at this point. You're contracting, you're pulling in, you're becoming isolated, you're isolating yourselves. You think that's going to make you stronger because you get to take over these countries. I got news for you, man. You're just alienating all your friends. You're going to be all alone in the world. Maybe that's even the plan, because Trump seems to be destroying things, even as he's telling us that he is building things up. And the criticism coming in is, I think, pointed. Here's the one that stuck out for me, and this is why it's in the thumbnail on some channels tonight. Don Bacon of Nebraska has also been heavily critical of a military takeover and of Miller's role in advancing the idea, calling the suggestion, and this is coming from Republicans, okay? Quote, he's calling the suggestion, quote, really dumb. Really dumb. Yeah. So much doesn't make any sense because it's just really dumb. It doesn't make sense. There's no need for it. But it's happening. I told you it was going to happen. I hate to sound like Alex Jones. I told you. Yeah, tomorrow's news today. I told you. And people are talking about that Monroe Doctrine and now the Donroe Doctrine, the new version, which is, they say, playing out here. It goes beyond that. It's because you have this... it's a deal, man. It's a deal made between China, Russia, and the United States. It really, it's gelling because it's the philosophy and the political strategy of Alexander Dugin, which is coming out of Russia. Duginism. Bannon loves it. Steve Bannon. Trumper. He's met with Dugin. Duginism, which is a declaration of war on liberalism, global. And you thought the New World Order was just the WEF and the World Health Organization. And again, I don't understand people's brains right now because so many people have been on and on and on about, we have to protect our sovereignty. We don't want a one world government. We don't want the New World Order. We're down with the New World Order. So you don't want that because you want sovereignty and you want to preserve what? Nation states so that countries can preserve their sovereignty. Meanwhile, you've got a president in the White House who is quite literally invading other countries and has made it very clear that he wants to assimilate, like the Borg, everything basically from Panama to Greenland, including Canada, to bring it all under America. America. It is the Gulf of Mexico. I so stand in my act of defiance and resistance. It is Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of Mexico. That's truth and reality. And what Trump is doing is really dumb because it's weakening the United States. It's alienating all of the U.S. allies. while he steals oil from people, countries, robs them of their sovereign wealth and their destiny. To bring it to Texas for refining and sale on the open market at discounted prices. Alberta, hello. You just wait. If that happens, I'm going to be sitting here, if there's a place left to sit, and we're not incinerated in a nuclear mushroom cloud, and I'm going to be saying, told you so. That's my Alex Jones moment for the night. New World Order, baby. Mark Carney said it this week, and so it shows that he's a globalist. No, not necessarily. Could be he's just calling it, like just saying it because it's like it's right in front of you. It might even be kind of a warning. It's certainly a nod to China, where we now have a new $1 trillion trade deal. Yeah. With China. Why? Because Trump says he doesn't want to do business with us. So he's putting up walls. Just like Ronald Reagan. Not. Lie. That's a lie. Reagan didn't put up walls. He was a free trader. Tried to be. No, he lied. It was all AI, and Doug Ford took it and twisted it all up, and it was all fake anyway. No. Donald Trump's the one lying. He's making up your reality. That's also part of Duginism, by the way. If you read him, and I've read some of them, it's all about making shit up so that you screw up people's heads. Reforming their reality. Because politics, any country even, is a mental construct. It's what people believe. If you believe in it and you support it, then it's real. If you don't believe in it and you don't support it, then it falls apart. So if you don't believe in your country anymore, if you don't have any faith in it, if all the faith in institutions is destroyed, then you turn against your own government. Next thing you know, you're out in the streets doing this shit. Picking a side, fighting in the streets, beating the shit out of each other. Well, Donald Trump and people like him put out an IPO, an initial public offering of a meme coin that skyrockets in value right away and then crashes, and he cashes in, making a cool $1 billion on the backs of ordinary, regular folks, people, because he deregulated everything and made sure there was no serious regulation of the crypto industry. As he now, through tariffs and other deregulation and certain regulations, give him the levers of control. They give him complete control almost over the U.S. and many aspects of the world economy. He can make stocks go up and down. He can crash the whole thing. He can bring it back. Sort of. Pull this lever, price goes down. Pull this lever, price goes up. And if you know when prices are going to go up or go down, and maybe you have a little inside knowledge, a little inside info, then you know when to buy and you know when to sell. And if you can create a meme coin out of nothing and get people to buy into it because you've got such profile and you get access to the bully pulpit and you promote yourself online after having built this celebrity image through network television over many decades, you've got power over people's minds, credibility, in the minds of people. Invest now and lose everything. Like 95% of what you put in. But the guy at the top and the people around him knew when to buy and knew when to sell. They knew when to sell at the top before it crashed. Here's Mark Carney in China. Here's that clip that people are talking about.
As you mentioned, mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade. The world has changed much since that last visit. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order. It's a partnership with new focus and greater depth and a sense of purpose. And I look forward to realizing its promise and building on it in the years to come. A partnership that leverages our strengths to create greater stability, security, sustainability, and prosperity for all our peoples. And I look forward to this working session to advance those objectives. Thank you very much. Xie xie.
Okay. So he said the words, trigger. New World Order! Meltdown, brain evaporates, comes out your ears as steam. Well, hate to say it, but I told you so. It's happening. But Donald Trump is supposed to save us. No, dude, Donald Trump is doing it to you. Okay? No, it's you have TDS, Rick. No, that guy over there, the orange orangutan man, he's doing it to you over there. He's the dude. Somebody told me a long time ago, Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Who am I to argue? Really, at this point, who am I to argue? And then these people, like, how many people, like, maybe some of you, I'm sorry, I have to convert you. Please stay with me, okay? Really, it's happening. No, Rick, you have TDS. No. Mark Carney is just telling the truth. Don't shoot the messenger, dude. Oh. Get rid of him, lynch him, hang him in the public square. No, don't do that. It's the other guy. Our guy is just being honest, and he's over in China because I told you, how many months ago was it now when I ran the thumbnail saying that Trump's pro-China policies, I think was the title. Yeah, because that's your 5D chess, or whatever many Ds you want to put in your chess game. Okay, here I had this correspondence with somebody early this morning. This is not the kind of news I used to do. I'm going to read you this because, okay, let me see here. Okay, no, that's old. That's old. Where are we here? Okay, here we go. Nah. My dad watches all these old shows. It gets stuck in my head. Okay. I have to go back. Okay. Probably. Okay, so this was sent to me. Breaking Board of Peace on Mark Carney. So this article was sent to me by somebody, which reads, this was online at CBC Watcher, which I think is like anti-CBC. Prime Minister Mark Carney will accept a role on U.S. President Donald Trump's newly formed Gaza Board of Peace, according to a senior Canadian government official. Trump will serve as chairman of the board, which includes U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, and which is designed to oversee the U.S. peace plan to end the war between Israel and Hamas. So I woke up around this time. This was at 5:54 a.m. I just happened to wake up and went bing, and I'm reading this. So I sent a text back. I said, things just keep on getting weirder. To which this person responds, something new I'm not aware of yet? And I said, well, just look at the last two stories you sent. Oh, yeah, the one before that. This one. I forgot to tell you about this. This is important too. Steve Bannon. Mark Carney is an enemy of the United States. Yeah, I know, dude. You're ginning up that pretext, and you are a Duganist, which means you're at war with liberalism, blah, 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 blah. And Mark Carney has the big L from the brand liberal on his chest, right? Anyway, Bannon says Mark Carney is an enemy of the United States. It's obvious. Canada has been infiltrated by the CCP and radical Islam. What he did in Beijing was tantamount to an economic declaration of unrestricted warfare against the United States of America. What have I been saying? I said, if Canada tries to do more business with China, the United States will probably use it as a pretext to invade. So Trump, this is a good cop, bad cop. So Trump makes a statement. Yeah, well, that's a good thing for Canada. And this is his public statement. I'm paraphrasing. But if they can make a deal with China, they should do that. He said, that's good for Canada. They should do that. Yeah, you want us to do that, man, so that you have an excuse to do what you want to do. And then your boy, Mr. Bannon, is already making it clear that our prime minister is now an enemy of the United States. See how it works? I see what they're doing. See the talk about the pipelines yesterday, like I told you? Oh, you think it's Canada? You think it's our government that doesn't want to build the pipeline to the West Coast? It's maybe corrupt politicians being paid off who don't want that pipeline built because they're getting some money from maybe some big oil companies that want it all flowing south. What the hell are you supposed to do, right? You live right next door to Godzilla. By the way, just in case you don't know, Godzilla is a metaphor for the United States. Born out of the nuclear age and the nuclear bomb. Look it up if you want. So Canada, Trump says, we don't need anything. We don't want anything. We don't like you. You guys are a-holes, and we're your closest friends and relatives. Now you suck, and we don't want your shit, and I didn't want to talk to you. So tariff. By the way, the tariff that Canada imposed on China on EVs, do you know why we did that, really? Because the U.S. government did it. Biden. So Canada, because we have the integrated auto industry at the United States, we're like, yeah, okay, we'll support that. We're on board. We'll put 100% tariff on EVs coming from China. And that's the way it's been, because we support what the U.S. is doing. We're in lockstep. We have an integrated industry, and we're going to work together with you. That's why Canada did it. Now Carney goes over to China because China retaliated against Canada with the tariffs on canola, devastating for some farmers in Western Canada in particular, further undermining support for the Liberals. But you got to understand, Canada didn't. That happened because Canada imposed the EV tariff, which was us supporting the United States. So in reality, we kind of got kicked in the gonads by China in order to support our closest friend and ally, the United States of America. So we're paying a big price. Those farmers out west are paying a huge price. So now Trump takes this tact and like, we don't need anything those Canucks have. So what else are we supposed to do? We have to trade more with Europe and with China because China's is comparable in size and they can do stuff. So, don't get triggered. If you go to Canadian Tire right now, probably 80-90% of everything you buy at Canadian Tire is made in frickin' China, as it is. So we're already doing it, man. And so is the United States. And the truth is, they're actually very good to trade with. At this point, they are far more free market than the United States is. As much as it pains me to tell you that, but it's true. They're more free market traders. Or maybe I should say fair market traders. They're fair traders and trustworthy, reliable. They've shown that, and that's why they're expanding much more rapidly than the United States, which is contracting and isolating itself under Trump. So we're going to do more trade with China. $1 trillion trade deal. And of course, Trump says, oh, well, that's okay. And while Bannon, his boy, then turns around and says, well, Canada's an enemy of the United States now. And then they've got these influencers up here who on cue, right in timing perfect, come out and start with the Canada's been infiltrated by the CCP. We're a drug money laundering haven for the world, blah, blah, blah. There's a word for that. It's called propaganda. And it's happening in an information warfare environment. What's going on in Trump's America now? Some guy run into his truck. A lot of violence out there, man. Anyway. But what choice does Canada have? Of course, we're going to try to do trade with other people. And you can sit there and say, oh, elbows up and that sucks and triggered. The truth of the matter is, it wouldn't matter what you try to do with Trump right now. He's because there's no negotiating with him. He doesn't want to negotiate. He's using the tariffs as a weapon. It's not an economic tool. It's a weapon. There are ways to deal with that, except if we deal with it in the proper manner and start trading with other nations more, he'll say it's us becoming a national security threat to the United States, and then he'll invade us. So we don't want your ship, but you're not allowed to trade with anybody. Screw you. Okay? Like seriously. Then show the world what you really are and do it and just get it over with so we can get it over with. And then we'll deal with it, I guess. I don't want that to happen, but I'm just saying, if you're going to be that much of a dick about it. And I think I'm justified in saying it that way, especially since their ambassador, Pete Hoekstra, is not being very diplomatic at all with Canada. He's a very insulting man. Seemed to be a heck of a lot of respect at that table between China and Canada, though, because there's a whole lot of money on the line. And whether you like it or not, folks, there is a new world order, and you can shoot the messenger Mark Carney right there, and you can believe whatever you want. And maybe he is on it. Who the hell knows? Maybe he's helping to facilitate it or not. Things wouldn't be any different under Polyev. Only difference would be maybe just the approach might be a little different, but it wouldn't be different because Trump wouldn't change his position on it. He just changed the words, but the attack would be the same. That's why he said it would be easier for him if Carney was prime minister, because that gives him an enemy. I knew this was coming. Gives him an enemy. But I don't think that Polyev was going to be in a position, or maybe even had the intent to save Canada, from what I've seen. We'll see how it goes. But this is the weird thing. Okay, so back to this chat. My God, see how I go off, and because there's so many layers to this. So I said, things just keep getting weirder. To which this person responds, something new I'm not aware of. I said, just look at the last two stories you sent. Bannon says Carney and Canada are the enemy. Trump appoints Carney to the Board of Peace. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? So Carney and Canada are the enemy, but Trump then appoints Carney, who references the New World Order, to the Board of Peace to oversee, with the other people from the U.S. and elsewhere, what's going to go on in Gaza and the rebuilding and the governance of it, I guess. As to which this person responds, yes, that is weird. So you've got an enemy, but you're putting them on this board. That's pretty weird. And this person also referenced and said, and Alex Jones, similar to Bannon. So you're getting the propaganda there too, the build up on the pretext. He says, and then this person says, but I will agree, Canada siding with China, it's something about that just feels so off. Well, yeah, because we've been echoing the U.S. rhetoric, maybe propaganda, maybe some truth about the threat that China poses to Canada and the United States. It's a national security threat to the United States, and la. Well, they're a big competitor to the United States. So, the United States is looking for some way to preserve its dominance economically. And so I don't think at this point they're necessarily so much of a military threat, but certainly an economic threat. And maybe the United States views that as a national security threat, because everything they're doing can only happen if they have a strong, robust economy. So they have to do whatever they can do to combat any competition. Even rig the system. Anyway, it goes on. Just feels so off, this person says. And then I said, that's who, I said, that's why about 6 months ago, I put up the thumbnail and did the program where I said, Trump is pro-China. His policies are pro-China, because he is sort of creating conditions where he's forcing allies into the arms of China, especially Canada. Why would he do that? Because I just told you that then creates this, well, go ahead, do trade with China. And then when you do that, then he can say, well, now you're a national security threat and you're right on our doorstep. This is like an economic version of the Cuban Missile Crisis. We're going to have to take care of that. You can't defend your sovereign territory, so we're just going to have to defend it for you. We're going to have to take over your country, just like Greenland. Too many drugs. Oh, by the way, this past week, there was a gigantic heroin bust at the Canada-U.S. border. Massive. Can't remember the dollar amount, but it was a real big one. Oh, wait a minute. There's one detail on that you really need to be aware of. The drugs were coming from the United States into Canada. It was at the Fort Erie Bridge, not the other way around. I'm not saying the drugs don't flow that way, but they flow this way more. It was on the news. I meant to tell you about it the other day, but we got into the ostrich shit, which is what this person is telling me in the text. You have to stop talking about the ostriches and start focusing on the important stuff. This is the important stuff. The other stuff is related, though. Anyway, I says, yeah, or she said, he said, they said, this person said, here it is. Yeah, we'll try around election time when Carney said that China was the enemy. Kind of, they have been. They are a security concern. They engage in stuff here that we shouldn't be part of. But again, our position on China here in Canada is really based on supporting the United States. And a lot of that, let's face it, when you're talking about other countries, it's propaganda. So there's some truth and some exaggeration. Anyway, I said, he's also pro. What did I say here? This is a typo. I can't remember what I said. He's also pro Rudy's while saying they're both threats. No, it's supposed to say, oh yeah, he's also pro-Russia. Yeah. Pro-Russia came out as Rudy's. No, not Rudy, Russia. He's pro-Russia and China while saying they're both threats. It's like they both want to take over Greenland, which they haven't said at all. I don't see any evidence of that. It's not like Greenland's going to be the next Ukraine. And I said, and saying he has to take over Greenland before they do, even though they've never threatened to. To which this person says, well, if China is an ally to Russia, who would you really want to have? Greenland. Used to be pretty simple, immediate answer. Now, I said, just saying, if they're carving up, I said, not the point, complicated. And then he says, just saying, if they're carving up different countries to be three powers, which is what I've been telling everybody here, which one of the powers would you rather be under? And I said, that's sort of the point. Which one? To which he says, exactly. And goes on and says to me, and I don't think I want to be under Russia's power, and I really don't want to be under China's power. What the hell's the difference? Right now, because Trump says, if you have a protest and you don't like what they're protesting, you should just shoot them in the knees. And he talks about bringing in the Insurrection Act, and all the people in Canada that were upset about the use of the Emergencies Act cheer and say, right on, Donald, because we don't like what they're protesting. Let's go fully fascist. This person goes on, says, if Trump takes Greenland and then we're going to be at war, that who is our partner in war? To which I just replied, 1984. That's right. It's like a fake war that they, between the two hemispheres, and they get people upset, and it's just to keep people occupied. Maybe even, you talk about depopulation, population control. You know what would be a really good way to do that? Send people to war and let them kill each other. You don't need chemtrails. So this person, I said 1984. So he says, see, this is things that we need to be discussing with people, not these stupid birds. I said, yes, but the birds give us information too. And the response, kind of still people need to know what is going on. The birds are dead. Yes. They're not going to fly away. Not that they could ever fly. That's a conspiracy theory. Flying ostriches. But if they could fly, you'd be washing your car all the time. I said, I'm going back to sleep. Okay. I'm going soon myself. I said, sleep well. So you wake up refreshed. 2-hour nightmare. Trump's America, Trump's world. On this January 17th, 2026.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate. at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow, maybe too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The point is, if this New World Order that Mark Carney referred to this week unfolds the way they want it to, it won't matter. Whether it's Russia, China, or the United States, because they're all the same now. And they are forming a co-op. That's what it is. It's co-op. And they're carving up the world. And then the conflict is sort of real, but not real. Some of it is manufactured. And they have like an agreement. You stay over in your hemisphere, I'll stay in mine. We don't cross over. And well, that's how they think they're going to get world peace. And they do it because they don't believe in democracy. And they're just going to take over all the other countries. China gets Taiwan, and then you see what's going on. And then Eurasia belongs to Russia and the United States, which is acting in the most in an expeditious way to take over the entire Western Hemisphere. And the reason it's happening so quickly is because they have a plan, and Trump might only be around for a short time, and they want to get it done. They're going to get her done, America style, real quick, before he either croaks or is forced out of office, if there's even going to be any more elections, which I can't believe I'm talking about. Hopefully there are. But who knows what his successor might bring. Might be better. Could be worse. Oh, yeah, it could be worse. Could be a whole lot worse. But it won't matter if it goes down the way they want it to. So you see, the truth is, if you want to preserve sovereignty and preserve nation states, then what you want is not what Trump is doing. But because we've all been subjected to this crazy stuff, people's minds are turned inside out and upside down. You're seeing things opposite, and they're using your emotions to have you engage in a culture war, which is just the battle lines. That's where they've drawn the battle lines, this war against liberalism, which is really what they should be saying is a war against progressivism, which is to say war against LGBTQS plus rights, against same-sex marriage, against abortion, against those kinds of those issues, right? Religion, things that get people really jacked up. When in reality, the people at the top don't give a crap about any of it. So will they preach family values, traditional values? Those words are coming from, well, a very influential live streamer who professed to be a Christian, but also got a whole lot of clicks and online views from an interview with a whole bevy of porn stars. And from a president who said he didn't like the guy who had a private island where they threw sex parties, which sometimes with the young underage girls. And even though he used to hang out with the guy, he's just deny. And he's the president of peace who also embraces traditional family values. It's absurd. And people believe it because most people don't read past the headlines. And then you get this going on tonight, which feels so much like the Freedom Convoy in so many ways. The live stream coverage, just the look of the crowds, even the comments. Are you manipulated enough yet? Have you been lied to enough yet by the people who say don't listen to those people over there? They're lying to you. It's disgusting, actually. Then again, maybe I'm nuts. I'm open to it. That's why I look in the mirror every day and I say, are you still sane? Because this doesn't make sense. This is crazy. Is it really happening? Is this happening? Because people said it's impossible to go to the moon. So today, the Artemis 2 rocket, I guess, rolled into position. Here, I'm going to show you some footage from just earlier. I don't think it's live anymore. It was a live feed. But they're getting ready to go to the moon again, folks. Here you go. So there it is. This is going to be for a test flight, I believe, and then I think they're going to fire this baby up next month, and they're going to have astronauts on it. And I'm speaking from the top of my head, so if I get any information wrong, and if I'm getting anything wrong here, you let me know in the chat. But yeah, I think they're going to put human beings on this thing, spam in a can, and fire it into the stratosphere and beyond. And it's like a test flight. But eventually, I think they're going to call it the Artemis 3, and then they're going to launch that sucker to the moon. What year? I can't recall the exact year. That's what it looked like out there just earlier today as they get ready to launch it. They've got it in position now. And this is why, there's really two Americas out there. That's really why I bring this up. The NASA program is an international program. I think there are 60 countries that participate in the NASA space program that are participating directly in this project to go back to the moon. We're going back. Even though you have people like, they never went to the moon. Yeah, we did. And we're going back. And this time, it's not just it's an international effort. Canada's involved. The Canadian Space Agency is involved. I believe the Japanese are involved, 60 different nations. That's kind of the America that I know, or thought I knew. Collaboration, reaching for the stars. When I was a kid, I remember watching the Apollo launches on television. Oh, by the way, I didn't even get into the Mark Carney comments and the $1 trillion deal and Canada dropping the tariffs on electric vehicles on China in order to get the Chinese to really scale back the tariffs on canola. So that's done. Had to happen. Never would have happened if it hadn't been for the protectionist policies coming out of Washington to begin with. We'll see where it goes. Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, very worried about it. We'll work it out. Better to have that than what we had, because there was no room to maneuver because of the United States. Anyway, back to what's going on. See, this is the thing. This is the NASA program, cooperative nations working together, Canada involved. So you can reach for the stars. I remember as a kid, waking up early. I don't know which moonshot it was or whatever, but getting up early in the morning one day to watch on that old black and white television with the bunny ears an Apollo launch. I think it was probably Apollo 11. I don't know, man. I can't remember. I was way too young. I was like really, really young. But I remember it. Like going to the moon. 1960s. Back then, it was primarily just about entirely a U.S. effort, because the space race was on. Kennedy made, that was his thrust forward for America. He was in a point of national pride to beat Russia, Soviets, to the moon, especially after Sputnik. So it was the United States primarily. But you might not know this. Canada had about 30 engineers, scientists who worked on the Apollo program. They came largely from the Avro Aero fighter jet program in Canada, which fell apart because the funding was pulled. Many believe it was because of U.S. pressure. They didn't want Canada to have a fighter jet industry up here. I think probably because they perceived it as a potential threat heading into the future. So a lot of those engineers, as part of the brain drain on Canada, which has been a problem for a long time, and so, Texas, move to Texas. All you skilled tradespeople. Would rather keep you here to build this country, but do what's good for you. That was the case in the 1960s. So Canadians directly involved in that. And even though it was a U.S. effort, there were scientists from all over the world, including some Nazis, apparently. So that's what America does. It is a melting pot. They are the Borg. They assimilate. They've always taken the best and the brightest, but they also take the unwashed masses too. At least sort of. Canada, I think, takes more in just these days than the U.S. does in some respect. But we were part of it too. But here's the thing. This is the larger point, though. America, even then, when Donald Trump wasn't around, it was something wasn't, even though it was a U.S. effort and it was a U.S. flag planted on the moon. Listen to the words of Neil Armstrong. Okay, here it is. So, this is Apollo 11, 1969. First human being to step foot on the moon. Right there. NASA footage.
Getting back up to that first step. It's not even collapsed too far, but it's adequate to get back up.
Roger, we copy.
It's a pretty good little jump.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now.
Neil, we can see you coming. Okay, I just checked. Getting back up to that first step. It's not even collapsed too far, but it's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. He said that what he really said was one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. The A was not transmitted because of a glitch in the transmission. He was insistent on it, but either way, he was sharing the moment with all mankind. It wasn't just America alone, even though it was primarily a U.S. effort. The United States at that moment, even under Richard Nixon, shared it with the world. On the moon right now, there's a small disk, but the size, well, it's just the size of a coin. And etched on this tiny, tiny coin, messages from world leaders at the time. Pierre Elliott Trudeau's on there. Messages to whoever might find it in the future. Messages of hope. Show you. It is right here. They're not audio recordings, they're written messages. And they had to keep it small, so it was reduced in size. Small little disc. But what was written is in these documents from NASA, July 13th, 1969. Small disc carrying statements by Presidents Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon, and messages of goodwill from leaders of 73 countries around the world will be left on the moon by the Apollo 11 astronauts. The disc also carries a listing of the leadership of the Congress and a listing of members of the 4 committees of the House and Senate responsible for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration legislation. Additionally, the names of NASA's top management, including past administrators and deputy administrators, and the present NASA management are included. These include NASA's first administrator, Dr. T. Keith Glennon, its longtime deputy administrator, the late Dr. Hugh L. Dryden, it goes on and on. So if you scroll down, all the messages are in these typed out. You've got Dwight Eisenhower, President Kennedy, some of his words included. He says here, "We go into space because whatever mankind must undertake, free men must fully share. I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out." Of course, these are the words before he was assassinated, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. No single space project in this period will be more exciting or more impressive to mankind, or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so different or difficult or expensive to accomplish. 1961. So etched onto it. And then you've got President Johnson with his statement, and President Nixon, who said at the time, "Our current exploration of space makes the point vividly. Here is testimony to man's vision and to man's courage. The journey of the astronauts is more than a technical achievement. It is a reaching out of the human spirit." Not American, human spirit. It lifts our sights. It demonstrates that magnificent conceptions can be made real, but not fake reality. They inspire us, and at the same time, they teach us true humility. What could bring home to us more the limitations of the human scale than the hauntingly beautiful picture of our Earth seen from the moon? Scroll down. Look at all the countries involved, nations represented by goodwill messages on the Apollo 11 disc. Senegal, Swaziland, Laos, the United Kingdom, Malaysia, Vietnam, the Vatican, Zambia, Ecuador, Estonia, Ethiopia, Iceland, Denmark, Canada. The list goes on. Afghanistan, Australia. Prime Minister Trudeau wrote, "Man has reached out and touched the tranquil moon." Then, in French, he wrote, "May that high accomplishment allow man to rediscover the earth and find peace." In 1969, the United States did something unprecedented. They were at first reaching for national pride in the middle of a Cold War and a space race with another nation on Earth. But what they achieved was something that they shared with the entire world. Donald Trump, this regime they've lost their way. I don't want to be part of that. Goes against everything I ever worked for as a journalist. That's not me being biased or partisan. That's me loving freedom. My good friend Joseph Leonard says, MAGA doesn't mean America, may mean America first, but it doesn't mean America alone. That's what he thinks. Yeah, it does. There's a lot of hubris in that. Keep going down this path. Small countries, little ants. They'll try to survive. They'll find out. Donald, you can do it the easy way, the better way with friends. Or you can do it the hard way. Watch what the ants do. I'd rather work with and reach for the stars. See you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side.
Well, I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom and running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. Cosmo's got them paws that just itch to roam. He's chasing his dreams, he's far from home. With a heart full of love and a spirit so free, he's living his life wild and carefree. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of the blur. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. Now the night's getting cold and the sky's turning gray. But Cosmo's still out there, he's miles away. He's not looking back, he's got his path to tread. With every step, he's leaving his bed. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. So if you're feeling lost, just think of Cosmo's run. Remember his spirit, his freedom, his fun. And maybe one day, when you're feeling alone, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a bird. A heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a word. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.